All right, good morning and welcome back to another edition of the Bakersfield Business Partners podcast. My name is Duncan Harris. I'm the owner of Insurance Savings Group and past president of a B&I chapter called Bakersfield Business Partners. And today we have as our guest the one and the only, this is the GOAT, Richard Gauthier, the owner of G&G Auto. Richard, how you doing?
I'm wonderful.
Thanks for coming back. This is your second time.
Second time around?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just came from the doctor and had my stitches removed.
Uh-oh. Did some bloodletting and everything else?
No, I had a 2.5-inch incision where they cut a skin cancer out of my leg.
Oh, yikes. Well, don't let that...
Oh, well?
Yeah, don't let it slow you down.
Life is good.
That's right.
Medical stuff is good.
I know. So the first time you were here, we kind of got to know you. We got to know a little bit about your business. But the second time, what we'd really like to do is kind of dive in to maybe something a little more technical or something a little more involved, information that might be helpful for people when they're dealing with like auto repair shops, So, and you and I had kind of discussed talking about the diagnostic process. So, I mean, elaborate, right? That what does that entail? People, the engine light comes on and they think, oh crap, how much time is this going to cost me? How much money is this going to cost me? Anyhow.
Yeah, testing, a car has an issue. It can be something's leaking. Mm-hmm. You smell something. Mm-hmm. There's a noise you didn't hear before.
Right.
Whatever. The check engine light comes on. A warning light comes on. A traction control ABS light comes on. There's these various warning lights on the dash. So, okay, bring it to us. We're going to fix it. But before we fix it, we have to find out what it is, what's causing it.
Right.
So, it's very similar to going to the doctor. You have a symptom, you have a pain, you have something going on, you don't feel right or whatever. You got some weird thing happening. They can't just look at you and tell you what it is.
Right. Instantly know.
Yeah. They have to test. They have to get numbers. They have to get numbers from various systems in your body. Mm-hmm. I mean, we know when we go to the doctor and we get labs, we get all these labs and they all relate to numbers.
Right. Which I don't know what they mean, right? Who knows? Yeah.
So, and if you have some problem, they're going to do a test. And then from that test, they're going to go to another test. And if that tells them what they need to know, fine. If that doesn't, then they're going to go to another test. And it isn't that different in what we do. We're going to look at it. Okay, which route do we think we need to go down? If it's a weird noise, we're going to drive it. Is it a noise we're familiar with, something that we've seen before? Mm-hmm. Where is it likely? Then we're going to get it up in the air. We're going to start inspecting areas that we think. We may have to disassemble something to inspect and look. Sometimes, cars are metal and sound moves through metal. So, a lot of times you can actually have a sound. It seems like it's coming from one area, but it could really be coming from another area. It's kind of like a leak in your roof.
Yeah.
The leak in your roof is in one place, but the water runs through and then it runs down the rafters and down here and it ends up coming through way over here.
Travels around.
So it's kind of like sounds in a car.
Now, has diagnosing issues with cars, is that getting easier? Is it getting harder as our cars get more complex or more, electronic?
It's getting harder.
It's getting harder.
Yeah.
So more systems, more computers, more wires, more potential issues.
Yeah, there are. The modern car has over 70 microprocessors in it. There are a lot of just individual parts that have a microprocessor in it, a computer board. Mm-hmm. And we could get into CAN bus, how cars communicate, all these modules communicate. If you think of a wiring schematic where all the wires are all connected to all these different things, but it's way too complicated. So they have CAN bus is a main wire, you want to call it, you know what I mean? It's a main port of communication, and all the modules communicate down this one port. and they all have addresses. And so every time they send a packet of information, it has to have their address, and it has to have the address of the module that they're trying to communicate with. But all these electronic packets of information are going down the same pipe.
Got it.
So, for example, we had a pickup truck that the engine would die. It would start up and die. Then we started it and start up and die, start up and die.
Interesting.
And the lights on the dash weren't working right.
Okay.
And we're going, what the heck? And then the air conditioner quit working. Then we're going, what's going on?
Like the Chinese hacked into it, or what happened?
Yeah. Well, it was a process, and it was we had to isolate the various modules on the CAN bus, and it ended up being a bad ABS module.
And that affected all of that.
Affected all that. We replaced the ABS module, and everything worked perfectly. But the ABS module was sending corrupted information through the pipeline, and the corrupted information had corrupted addresses, and it affected the other modules.
So how long? Okay, so as a consumer now, right? I've got this crazy problem with my truck. Gosh, it turns off whenever it wants. The lights don't come on. How long did it take you guys to diagnose that situation?
That particular problem, about 10 hours.
About 10 hours going through test 1, test 2, test 3.
Yes.
Tell me about like the equipment that you use. I mean, I'm sure your guys aren't just banging on it with a wrench, you know. So tell me, I mean, you must have sophisticated. I have to tell you this. I have to tell you this.
Hammer.
I have to tell you this story. I worked construction one summer. I worked on heavy equipment. And that literally was the mechanic's philosophy. He had different size wrenches. The bigger the problem, the bigger the wrench. And he would just wail away on these heavy pieces of equipment. Yeah. No, but you guys must have more sophisticated.
Yeah, we do. I mean, I have two scanners. You know, we call them scan tools. You know, they plug into the car and they read data from the car. And I have two of them that are over $12,000. Well, they're about $12,000. I have two or three that are $2,500 to $3,000. And we have many individual specialty tools that allow us to get into certain systems. You know.
Sure.
So yeah, there's a lot. I mean, our biggest investment of equipment. Well, I mean, we have a lot of lifts. Mm-hmm. You know, we have an alignment machine because that's pretty expensive. Mm-hmm. I mean, our alignment machine is $35,000. But we have a sizable investment in diagnostic and testing equipment. Yeah. You know, it allows us to read live data from all the various systems in the car on a screen, so we can actually watch the equipment working and see, does it do, you know, is its output from a particular module or sensor or whatever, is the information, this signal that it's putting out, is it within the correct parameters? And then we have to have a resource of information that tells us what those correct parameters are.
So let's go back to that example. The truck that's turning off took you about 10 hours to correctly diagnose it. I'm sure you had a bunch of theories along the way. But once you determined, hey, it's the ABS module, how long did that take to fix, actually?
Well, the fix actually probably took an hour and a half.
Right. It's pretty quick.
Yeah.
So my question is it common for the diagnostic, the testing to take as long or longer than the actual repair?
Good question. We when it comes up, we say that it used to be like it takes an hour to figure out what's going on and 3 hours to fix the problem. Mm-hmm. Well, we are well into scenarios where it can easily take 3 hours to figure out what's going on and an hour to fix the problem.
Yeah.
And testing charges, diagnostic charges, are something that customers, consumers, all of us are occasionally struggle a bit with.
Well, I mean, yeah, I could see why.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, hey, these mechanics, they work on cars every day. They surely must have seen this or heard this sound before, and they should know what to do. Right. So then you see repair charges are, I don't know, $200, but the diagnostic is twice that. Right. So yeah, no, it plays a huge part in the psyche, the whole process.
Right.
So what advice could you give to people? I mean, obviously we're kind of educating them on, hey, things have changed a little bit in the industry, but maybe is there any advice or pointers or things you might say?
I think one thing is awareness. We drive complicated cars.
Yeah.
Thankfully, as complicated as our cars are and as expensive as they are, the automotive engineers have done a very good job, and these systems are very robust. You would never imagine, I mean, your car is way more complicated and more computing capacity than like your home computer or any of this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, you couldn't imagine putting your phone or your home computer or your laptop through the environments that your car goes through.
Right.
It's outside. I mean, the heat cycles,
right,
hot and cold, both weather and the operating temperatures. It's absolutely amazing that these systems are as robust as they are and last as long as they do.
Sure.
So that's a good thing. One of the things that goes along with that is that it just takes time and is going to take more money to, at times, figure out what the heck's going on. Mm-hmm. And we like to say it, but it's the reality. Our product as an auto repair shop is our time and our knowledge. I mean, we bill for time. That's our product.
Right.
So when we spend time, then we bill for that time. That's what we do. When we spend time testing and diagnosing, then we have to charge for that time. We have to be paid for that time. That's how the economy of fixing cars works. And so, in times past when things were much more simple, some people remember, times when, you paid, $100 to get the car checked out. And then if you went ahead and with the fix, then they didn't charge you the $100.
Right.
And that's been a long time ago, really, but it's in people's minds sometimes. And but the reality is that we're going to get paid for that time. I mean, that's who we are. That's what we do, and it takes expensive equipment many times, and our best trained technicians, highest paid technicians, to be the ones to diagnose those problems. So just the economics of it. We have to be paid for it.
Yeah. No, it makes sense to me. I mean, sitting here and having it explained. So what kind of expectations could you give someone? They're dropping off their truck. They're busy. This is a Monday morning. They realize the problem on the weekend. Now they've got to take some time out of their work life. They want this car back as quickly as possible, as cheaply as possible. I mean, what kind of expectations do you give your customers?
Well, we have a system that we are probably about 80% of the time that we actually are successful in reaching our goal in this. But our expectations are, if a customer has their car there in the morning, 8 o'clock, not 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock, that we will look at that car and get it diagnosed, tested that day. And it's unrealistic to drop it off in the morning with a problem and expect it's going to get tested, estimate written, parts ordered, repair authorized, and back to the tech and fixed that day. It's unrealistic. There's too many elements involved. One of the elements involved is we have cars from the day before that we diagnosed,
right,
and went over with the customer, got authorization, and got parts ordered.
Need to be fixed. Yeah,
need to be fixed. So anyway, it is very reasonable for customers to expect their cars to be in the shop for a couple of days.
Okay.
It's just the world we live in.
Sure.
And we do have some parts challenges more parts challenges than we had before.
Is it like just logistical challenges?
Logistical stuff,
industry wide?
industry wide.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sourcing parts, availability of parts.
Yeah.
You know.
Are certain models easier, harder to get? Certain
Oh yeah.
brands?
I mean, some less. I mean, weird stuff. I mean, like Land Rovers or something. You know what I mean? That there's not that many. Obviously, parts departments, both in local parts stores and dealerships, they stock the fast-moving parts.
Yeah.
I mean, they only have so much room. So if it's a part that only comes up now and then, they're going to have to order it. They don't have it on the shelf, and so if they have to order it, it's going to be there the next day or maybe 2 days, and that's just how it is. Nothing we can do about it. But if a car comes in the morning, we have our own expectation that we're going to look at it and be able to get it tested that day. And I think we're about 80% on being successful on that. There's always extenuating circumstances,
Okay.
both with the car and on our side.
Yeah.
I mean, things change.
Of course.
A car that came in for brakes, we find that it has a fuel leak. Well, okay, we thought it was going to get brakes and get done today, but it's got a fuel leak that needs to be diagnosed, and we got to call the customer back and go over that. They have to authorize the testing time to go figure out what's going on. I mean, it may be something simple we just see, and there is no testing time, but maybe it's something that we actually have to spend time. We have to get that authorized. Then once we get that authorized, then we have to get an estimate, source the parts, call the customer. Okay, this is what we found. This is what it's going to cost. Get authorization to go ahead and do the repair. Get the parts ordered, and then get it in line to actually do the repair. So it can take lots of times. The car is there for longer with more procedures and more things to do than what both the customer and us originally thought.
And I would imagine you're probably waiting on the customer some of that time as well.
Well, yeah, everybody.
Yeah.
No, people are busy. They don't automatically answer the phone when you call.
Yeah, bummer.
So, but we text. We're all digital. We have no paperwork in our system. So everything we do is digital as far as tracking and documents and all that kind of stuff. So some customers are comfortable. We test them. We text them our findings with the estimate, and they can just click and authorize it, and we get it back and we move ahead. Some people are comfortable with that. A lot of things we really need to talk about and explain what we see and what the process is going to be, and go over options. A lot of times there's options. There's priorities. We find a couple things on a car that are due to address. It could be maintenance that's due, along with a concern that the customer had that they noticed and why they brought it in. So there's multiple things. There could easily be multiple things to go over, and we just need to talk about it.
So I think that's the issue, right? It's kind of like as a consumer, someone who I don't know hardly anything about cars, right? You see the light go on, or there's an issue, and it's like all the unknowns. Like, okay, I'm gonna take my car into these mechanics. They're going to look over the whole car. Like, it could be $300. It could be $3,000. I don't know.
Yeah.
And in my mind, all that uncertainty causes delay and angst and everything else, and that's why people just don't take their car in, or they neglect their car, the maintenance.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how do you guys kind of help people with that? Like, how do you help them navigate that?
Yes.
Or is that the problem?
You described a very typical mentality, scenario, whatever we call it. We need our cars. They're very critical to our lifestyle.
They are.
And we drive back and forth to work. The fun things that we do, our shopping, everything is all done in our car. So.
Everything, right.
Everything.
Everything revolves around our car.
Really, the best thing for us is to have the least cost of owning and operating the car.
Correct.
Obviously, we don't want to spend money needlessly. We'd rather spend it on fun stuff.
Right.
But the catch there, somebody wants me.
Yep.
The catch there is, if we put off maintenance, it causes problems. So if we put off a repair, it can have a domino effect on other parts. So a typical one is a motor mount. You know, most cars have 3 or 4 motor mounts between the engine and the transmission.
Right.
They're rubber. They isolate. You can't do metal to metal. All the vibrations would go through the car. It'd be horrible.
Right.
So the engine and the transmission are mounted on rubber. Well, that rubber wears out. It
Right.
just won't last forever.
Right.
Well, one of them gets super weak and has too much movement or actually breaks. The rubber will actually break. So the other mounts are absorbing all the force. Now, you may or may not catch it. We may catch it on an inspection when you're in for an oil change or something else, or you just may sense something's going on, or maybe it gives a little thump or something. But if we don't fix that motor mount right away, it's going to wear out the other motor mounts because they're taking more load and transferring more movement and force to them. So if we did the motor mount right away, it can potentially save the other motor mounts. If we don't do the motor mount right away, we could potentially end up replacing 2, 3, or 4 of them.
Well, for sure.
So that's just a simple example of how letting a problem go can actually end up costing more money. Same with the check engine light. You know, we have to get our car smogged every 2 years so we can get the registration done. Well, some people, the car's running fine, check engine light's on, car's running fine. I'll worry about it later. And as we all know, just like clutter on the counter at home, you end up kind of ignoring it after a while, and that can happen with a check engine light. Well, but that whatever's going on might cause a problem with something else, or because the light is already on, a new problem happens, but you don't know it because the light's already on. So when the car's finally brought into us, instead of having 1 code, we have 2 or 3 codes. Well, then there's going to be more diagnostic time because we have multiple things going on, and there's going to be more repairs because they're stacked up now. So my point is that overall, the least cost way of maintaining your car is to fix a problem as soon as it's recognized and do maintenance when it's due.
Right. Yeah. Before they spread, grow, become bigger.
Right. Yeah. Fluids, for example. I mean, a big thing on maintenance on cars is when you change the fluid, when you change the coolant, when do you change the tranny fluid, when do you change the oil, you know, all the fluids in a car. Well, that fluid has a life. It's only designed to last so long. And with all the heat cycles and all the additives and things, they evaporate, it becomes contaminated, it gets dirty just through the process of wear. And past a certain point, that fluid is not performing the function that it was designed to perform. Well, then it is going to deteriorate the part that is using that fluid. So yeah, that can cause a major problem. I mean, we have a car in the shop right now, high mileage car, and the engine is bad, and it's making noise, and there's metal in the oil, but the oil is pitch black. It has not been changed in a long time.
Oh.
Well, the car's got 180,000 miles. The car looks perfect, interior, exterior. It's a perfect car. You could look at it and say it has 40,000 miles. It has 180. But right now, the oil is pitch black. So it hasn't been changed in a long time. But how many times has that happened through that car's life? Well, now it has metal in the oil, the engine's bad, and it's not worth fixing the car because it costs too much to replace the engine.
Oh, man.
And the customer needs the car to go back and forth to work.
Okay, what about all these car warranties and all these programs they have to help people try and pay for their repairs? And could you generalize, or could you give us an opinion on those programs? Are they helpful? Not so much?
Well, you're an insurance guy.
I know a little bit about insurance.
You know a little bit about insurance.
Yeah, a little.
The whole point of insurance is to cost average in a sense.
Correct.
We can afford the small amount on a regular basis, but we can't afford the great big giant thing that may happen once in a while.
Right.
So car warranties, aftermarket warranties are the same way, but you get what you pay for. There's no free rides on aftermarket warranties. So some of the really cheap warranties don't cover a whole lot, or their claims process is really horrible, or they don't pay for what repairs actually cost. So, we do a lot of work with extended warranties.
Do you?
All the time.
Okay.
Yeah. And some of them are very easy to deal with. Some of them are really hard to deal with. Some of them pay, and some of them don't pay very much. And it's, for us, I mean, it's part of the industry, and we do it. But it's really hard to tell a customer that, this is going to cost, $650 and the warranty is going to pay $450.
Yeah.
There have been times that we've been tempted to adjust our price to what the warranty would pay.
Right.
We're human,
Yeah.
we have hearts,
Yeah.
but that's really not fair because our margins are not that big, and that can easily cut out our entire margin. I mean, there's no point in us even doing the job because, we're barely covering our costs. So we do it, part of life, part of owning a car, but best thing I can say about aftermarket warranties is you get what you pay for.
What else? Is there anything that maybe separates your shop from others in terms of, diagnosing these problems or fixing cars, or what other issues should we?
Yeah,
go
well,
over?
we focus on our interaction with people. That's what we focus on, and we hope that we're successful in dealing with people in a way that is warmer, friendlier, more informed than other places. And that's what we do to try to be different. We do have plenty of equipment. We try to stay up to date on equipment, try to have the right stuff, like the new air conditioning refrigerant that is in modern cars, the 1234YF.
Okay.
The cars just very gradually started having that. Well, it's really expensive, and the equipment to service that is a whole nother unit. Our previous equipment wouldn't do it. So the machine to service a 1234YF system is almost $6,000 just to do a service.
Oh.
Well, a lot of shops didn't have, but we were one of the first shops in town to invest in a 1234YF equipment. It's just because that's what we do. We want to have what we need. We want to be there for our customers. And so that's one thing we do. We try to stay up to date on equipment.
Yeah, good.
We encourage our guys to go to the trainings that are available. We pay our techs to go to training. Not all shops do that. When there's a training class, and they're regularly, we have training classes available through different sources, and we pay the guys hourly rate to go to those training classes. And we think it's the right thing to do. We want them to go, and so we do that. So there are things like that we do, that we try to be a good employer for our people, and try to position ourselves to do a great job for customers. We have all the benefits, retirement plan for our people, accident insurance, vacations, all that stuff. So we try to be a good employer, and we really, really, really focus on training. We do a lot of internal training, and I've been in management for 40 years or more, and done an awful lot of training, and so we do a lot of internal training with our people, and trying to identify areas that we can improve. And but yeah, that's hopefully what's different about us is we're on it. We're effective. We're not always efficient, and we treat people well.
There you go. There you go. Well, perfect. Let's kind of shift gears here. We'll kind of wrap it up. I mean, I know you've been a member of our BNI chapter for a number of years, but maybe you could just kind of touch on what BNI means to you and to your business at G&G.
Well, we love the networking and doing business. Yes, we do business with a lot of people that are in our networking group at G&G Auto Repair. Additionally, I've counted up, and I have personally, not people coming to G&G, but me personally spending money and doing business with at least 20 different businesses in our group.
Yeah.
And so it's really nice to have people that we trust, that we know, that we can have confidence in the job that they're going to do and the attention that they're going to pay to what we need. And so that's an element. Another great element for me is just the friends that we've made, the fun things we do, the hanging out, the encouragement and learning, and just being good folks and having a great relationship. So a lot of that happens.
And has it helped your business grow?
Yes, it has.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Well, look, Bakersfield Business Partners is a chapter of BNI. We meet in Bakersfield every week on Tuesday mornings at 7:30. And the structure is that it's designed to help your business grow through referrals. But we also really believe that it's through education and through relationships. So you come to the meetings every week, you get to give a 60-second commercial about your business, and you're educating the other members of the group on what you do, why you're different, why you're special, maybe what's going on in your industry. And then as you do that, you build relationships with people in the group. And that's what Richard's talking about. It's kind of the whole package deal. You're going to grow your business. You're going to maybe meet great mentors and friends, and just be educated along the way. So, well, thanks for coming here. I mean, we love having you in the group. You've been a great member. We take our cars to G&G Auto. I mean, I just have to say, I don't worry about going to the repair shop. I ask these questions as a consumer who's maybe worried. I don't. I know Richard. I've done business with G&G Auto for many years, right? And so I don't worry about it, right? I know that when I take my car and it just goes through their process, and that gives me security, right? So I just feel assured in that. Anyhow, that's just one of the small, many intangible benefits of being a member. So thanks for coming on the podcast.
Hey, great to be here.
Yeah, it's always good talking with you. Until next time, come visit us at BNI Tuesday mornings, but we will talk to you on the next podcast. Take care.